Hello everyone, this is Uncle speaking, and greetings from Birmingham Motorcycle Live Show in 2024. And today I'm watching Scramblers, brand new Scramblers for 2025. And what are Scramblers? Motorcycles which became extremely popular. So manufacturers like Royal Enfield, Triumph and few others joined the race to the customers' buckets. So what else do we have here? Brand new BSA B65 Scrambler, and we've got refreshed Ducati Scrambler. So, let's talk about it. But first, let's talk about what the Scrambler really is. The term originated probably in 50s or 60s, long time before we had proper off-road motorcycles. But people wanted to do some off-roading, so what they did? They actually replaced the tires for something off-road capable, they protected the engine with the sump guard, and they removed all the unnecessary stuff. And that's about it. People called those bikes Scramblers, and they started to have off-road fun. That's more or less what the Enfield did. They took the Interceptor, changed the tires, added some protection to that, and called it a day. But there is one big difference here. The old Scramblers were lightweight motorcycles, but the new ones are not. They weigh 200 kilograms. So why people want them? Why people are buying them? Why people are asking for them? In my opinion, all the bikes are heavy nowadays, but most of the bikes, they are completely ugly, like the adventure motorcycles and others. And people want just a classic beauty. And I'm not talking just motorcycles. Generally speaking, we prefer vintage design because it looks just good. Look at that. It's a beautiful motorcycle, but yet people still want to do some minor off-roading. So, here we've got brand new Scrambler from Royal Enfield. Is it an off-road capable motorcycle? Yeah, well, slightly better than Interceptor. Slightly longer suspension travel, slightly better suspension, and that's about it. The thing is, most of the people do not ask for more really. And I'm a really good example of that. I don't like to go in the mud, I don't really want to get dirty, but still, I don't want to avoid gravel roads. But nevertheless, I want my motorcycle to look good. And I think that's the target of the Scrambler motorcycles, in the finest. And here, some manufacturers, not Honda but Royal Enfield, realized that and they decided to cash in on that fashion. So, is it good? But of course, for us bikers, it's brilliant because there is more choice of different motorcycles and there is a bike for everyone, which is brilliant. Now let's talk about Enfield. Let's start with the ugly. Yep, the real light with the indicators. Doesn't look good. But other than that, this bike looks rather well. However, long time ago, I mean few years ago, custom bike builders did about the same. They were faster and in my opinion they did better job than the factory. The bike we see here looks just better and it's more utilitarian, more suspension travel and more off-road capabilities. On the other hand though, some people do not ask for that. They ask just for the looks and the low price, which in the Enfield's case works like a treat. It's a cheap, good-looking bike. But finally, it's got some competition. And that is brand new BSA. And yes, I know you might talk about some reliability issues with BSA, but that was also the Enfield's issue like 10 years ago. But what's important, those are rather minor issues, nothing major really. So, don't worry about that. If you like the bike, go for it. And here we got BSA. And there is one major difference between Enfield and BSA. BSA is a single cylinder, like the old one. I mean, like the old classic Scramblers. Yes, they were old single cylinders. Well, I mean mostly. But why was that? Because single cylinder motorcycles were lighter and easier to repair, meaning simpler, less weight. But now, that's not quite the case. They are relatively heavy and complicated. Nevertheless, this BSA is a single cylinder, meaning a bit more classic in my opinion. I know this engine is not classic at all, it's a BMW F650 engine, water-cooled. I know that radiator is big and massive. On the other hand, F650 was an off-road capable motorcycle and the water cooling is not a bad thing for an off-road motorcycle. So after all, I think it fits much better here than to the Gold Star. I mean, look at that, those pipes, radiator and whatnot, they don't look ugly here. It fits. Especially that this bike is a bit more modern than Royal Enfield. At least it looks like that. So the big question is, which bike of those two should you choose? I would say, whichever you prefer. Especially when it comes to the engine. You prefer 2 cylinders? Take the Enfield. Prefer one? Take the BSA. But I have to admit one thing. The details of Enfield are slightly better. It's probably slightly better made. On the other hand, BSA should be slightly cheaper, but we will see that. But other than that, take whichever you prefer. I know, the radiator here is still big and ugly, so I would definitely replace it with Triumph's T120's radiator. It's smaller and it looks much better, and it's not that expensive. Anyways, the bike overall looks alright, but what else can we choose? If we are still talking about cheap motorcycles, let's go to another one, the Triumph 400X. And if you said, oh, that's a good motorcycle, it will be much better made than Royal Enfield or BSA, let me just remind you, it's Bajaj. It's also an Indian-made motorcycle. So, in reality, is it any better than the Royal Enfield or BSA? It's even slightly cheaper, but it's got some advantage. And the advantage is exactly here. I mean, exactly right now. The young lad is showing that to you. And no, it's not the gap. I hate that gap. It's ugly. So what I meant? I meant the suspension travel. Yes, that motorcycle is more off-road capable. Well, except those aluminum wheels. The suspension travel is longer, so overall, the bike is a bit more off-road capable. Yeah, a bit. But I have to say, that bike doesn't look good. Nope. But as you can see, it's rather popular amongst the lads in the tracksuits. Might be that's their target, and they might be successful with that. And that's the future of the nation. Who knows? I can only tell you that I don't like it. Just look at that massive gap. It doesn't fit for the classic bike. I know it's got 1 cylinder, it should be fine, but it's not thumper anymore, because it's an over-square engine, meaning higher revs, less thumps. So that's not what I'm looking for, but if you like it, that's fine. Just don't forget to buy yourself a tracksuit. But if you want a Triumph which is good looking, there is still a choice. You just need to spend a bit more. 12 grand. Actually, that's a lot more. But what you will get? A motorcycle, which is fast, enjoyable and with long suspension travel. That bike is the most off-road capable of them all. However, it's also heavier, so might be that you will have more fun on the lighter ones. Who knows? Depends on you. What is also the thing here, the bike is on the market for quite some time already, so it's not exactly a new motorcycle. They just repainted it and they replaced few things here and there. Does it mean it's bad? Absolutely not. It's a good motorcycle. I really like that one. But I wouldn't say it's cheap. 14k. Bloody hell. That is expensive for a simple motorcycle, if you ask me. Also, does it look any better than the Royal Enfield or BSA? Well, I'm not so sure about it. So let's look elsewhere then. And what else do we have here? Ducati, of course. They have all line, which is called Ducati Scrambler. But let's look at that bike. Does it even look like a Scrambler to you? The only thing which says Scrambler here are tires. And I would say this one is probably the least off-roady of them all so far. Yes, it looks good. Yes, it's brilliant on the tarmac. Probably the best of them all on the tarmac so far. But still, I'm not so sure it's a Scrambler at all. But it's really cool. I mean, it's got the most style of them all as well. It's the lightest, the most nimble. It will be perfect on the curvy road. I really like it. And I wanted to buy one. Seriously. Eventually though, I was scared by the service cost. You know, timing belts and Desmo. And also, it looks modern. And when it comes to modern motorcycles, with retro styling, I decided to go for something else. But let's talk about it a bit later. So, as I said, those Ducati Scramblers, they look good. But I think they are mostly bought by the people who don't want to go off-road. Previously, Ducati have the version which was called the Desert Sled, and that one was the most off-road oriented one. It was probably even more off-roady than the Triumph Scrambler 1200X. But for some reason, they don't do it no more. Instead, they've got only Desert X, which is completely different motorcycle. Why they made such a decision? I don't really know, but I know one thing. I much prefer the older line of Ducatis. So, let's get out of here. So what choice do we have right now? The Royal Enfield, which is 2-cylinder, which will cost you around 6k probably-ish. The new single-cylinder BSA with same about 50 horsepower. 40 HP but longer suspension travel Triumph 400X. Expensive Triumph 1200X. And the most modern looking Ducati Scrambler. And we've got that. But that's a lie. That's a BMW Scrambler, or rather a BMW Urban GS. The problem is, it's not a BMW stand. They don't make it no more. It's a Watsonian stand. And BMW, at that very moment, has no Scramblers to offer. So yes, that's about it. So, what I would choose? I think I would choose what I already got. The BMW Urban GS. Because I'm a fan of the Scramblers after all. I think they are really good universal and touring motorcycles, which can do everything. On the other hand, I can't stand the adventure motorcycles. I know, they are probably more utilitarian, they've got bigger panniers, bigger windshield and whatnot, but I don't think it's the most important thing in motorcycle. I love when the motorcycle is simple. 2 wheels, bench seat, tank and job done. And windshield belongs to the car, but each to their own. Anyway, that's an older bike. And the main question of that episode is what to buy in 2024-25. What I would choose? Yeah, the BSA. For some reason, I like it the most. Would I replace my BMW with that motorcycle? I don't think so. However, I wouldn't mind owning one. But is it the best one on the market right now? I don't think so either. I think they are all good. So, choose your own. Choose whatever you prefer. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Cheers!